line are guaranteed to be safe until another generation has to deal with this cleanup again?
That's a good question, and this is today's best available technology. Sure beats leaving it in place. The high-density polyethylene has been used for about 50 years now. Of course, we don't know the ultimate life. They do engineering studies and they try and model that, and it's several hundred years. So I think we're in a good position. The other thing is, if there's no water getting in, no water gets out. So when we have something that's got a cap on top, should the top have to be replaced, you can get at that and put another one on. It's not like these things are full of water and constantly leaking. So it's a difficult question to answer because it's a long, long time, but we can't prove that. All we can do is mathematical equations that indicate that.
Did y'all just say it was full of water and probably ash?
Use the microphone, please.
Yes, the ash that's in the basin is saturated. When it's excavated, it will be dug up, set aside so it can dry and drain, and then it will be put in the landfill, not dry so that it blows around, but at a very low moisture content. And the landfill has a leachate collection system, so it will collect any rainwater that falls on it over the years, and also any of the water that continues to drain out. But once you put the cap on it, relatively quickly, within a few years, there won't be any more water coming out of that landfill.
Not having independent oversight is what got us into this situation with Duke Energy being allowed to just dump anything and put all of these toxins in everywhere. Will there be independent oversight of the cleanup? And they're still sitting there, still trying to claim it's safe. So why would you trust them on cleanup? Will there be independent oversight?
Our agency will be dealing with not only the permitting, but inspections and compliance and enforcement of all of the aspects of the cleanup, yes.
The DEQ. Okay, well, in the DEQ, the ones who are supposed to be watching over them to begin with, the DEQ is the ones who are in charge of the ash reuse program. That's the Department of Waste is the ones who has all the structural fields. It's the Department of, y'all send ash out to the Department of Transportation to build roads and embankments and use it as ice and snow control. The Department of Agriculture has been adding it to soil as a soil additive and putting it on crops. The Department of Water has been adding it to sewage as a solidification thing. So, I mean, if the Department of Quality made such bad decisions to let that happen, what makes you qualified to be in charge of anything anymore?
Thank you for your comment.
It wasn't a comment, it's a question. I want to know, will we get independent oversight? Someone who actually knows what they're doing in here? Because this isn't right.
I stand behind the professionals within my agency to do their
They
job.
have already poisoned all of our towns. Yeah, okay. How about that boron plume? Are you going to do anything about that? Because tests in dogs have shown that contamination of boron can cause thyroid damage and atrophy of the testicles. And I believe morsel is also a testicular cancer cluster. So I think we need to get rid of that boron plume there. Can you do anything about it, or is it just going to be there forever?
The measures that I spoke of earlier in terms of the extraction and treatment, the extraction wells and the treatment of that groundwater will address that boron plume, yes.
Both the EPA and the CDC admit coal ash can be toxic. Exposure to the poisons in coal ash can lead to cancer, birth defects, neurological disorders, learning disabilities, ADHD, Alzheimer's, reproductive issues, heart attacks, and kidney issues. Coal ash puts off 100 times more radiation than a nuclear power plant. There are over a dozen counties with high thyroid cancer rates in North Carolina. Testicular cancer is one of the top 2 cancers in North Carolina. It's very rare. Only 9,500 in the entire country get it. Yet the men of North Carolina are its victims. North Carolina recently passed Senate Bill 297 to research the many cancer clusters across the state, but all one has to do to find these clusters is look beside the coal ash. Look at the groundwater contamination at all of the plants. Look at the rivers beside the plants. Every one of them has a fishing advisory. Look to the Catawba River, where 2 towns so far are cancer clusters. 3 coal-fired plants within 25 miles between Lake Norman and Belmont. Almost 50 tons of coal ash between them for over half a century. Look to the boron plume at the Marshall Steam Station. There are so many stories coming out of the contaminated areas, new victims weekly. So many young people who are busy planning their futures and how to pay for college are now planning how to pay for chemo and operations, trying to figure out how to stay alive. I have a lot of concerns about this cleanup, like why are the people who poisoned an entire state in charge of that cleanup? Why are the people who let them get away with poisoning an entire state in charge of cleanup? Yeah, I'm talking about the DEQ. The office that was supposed to be protecting us in the first place, the office that has been in bed with Duke Energy for decades in charge of the ash reuse program, the office that is profiting off of toxic ash by letting the Department of Waste sell coal ash for structural fuels. They have allowed the Department of Transportation to use coal ash to build roads and embankments. They use it on snow and ice control, and I don't know if some of y'all saw that. They tried to hide that last week when they were asked about it on the news of what goes in that ice control. That little web page that told it came down within an hour. The Department of Water has allowed it to be added to wastewater to solidify it, and on and on and on. Is that why Marshall is getting away with not full cleanup? Because these guys are working together. People are coming to realize that Duke Energy aren't the only guilty parties here. Maybe it wasn't you. Maybe it was those before you who allowed this to happen. And this can be your chance